Hey, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Chiki Linguini, and I have IBS, PCOS, and anxiety. I've been dealing with the IBS part for about 3 years now, and along the way I've learned a couple of things. So here are 5 mistakes that you're probably doing with your IBS. IBS is becoming more and more prominent. It's estimated that between 5 to 10% of people worldwide have it. When I first got diagnosed 3 years ago, I had never heard of it, and since then I now have had 3 friends been diagnosed. I see it everywhere on my Instagram, on Pinterest, on YouTube. It's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's noticing that it's rising, and it's predominantly in women. More women have it than men. The exact cause of IBS is still unknown, but there is a huge connection between stress and anxiety and IBS, and that's because of the brain-gut connection. It is so strong. We know now that your anxiety hand in hand goes with your IBS, and your IBS hand in hand goes with your anxiety. So it's a vicious circle. There are 2.4 to 3.5 million doctor's visits a year for IBS symptoms. And obviously not everybody that has IBS symptoms goes to the doctors. So that's just the people that go. 2.4 to 3.5 million visits a year. Approximately 20 to 40% of all GI visits are from IBS symptoms. As I mentioned, it really affects women. 60 to 65% of IBS sufferers are women, and that then causes unnecessary surgeries like hysterectomies. So women with IBS are more likely to have a hysterectomy than women without IBS. And that makes total sense because women with PCOS are more likely to develop leaky gut or IBS. So it just shows you that everything is connected, it's hand in hand. So all this to say that you aren't alone. Just know that I am here with you, and millions of other people are here with you. IBS stinks, but you got this. And here are some 5 tips that I have learned and that have helped me along the way. So one mistake you're probably making with your IBS is you're only focusing on your flare-ups and your pain. And trust me, I am the first person to do this. Whenever I get in a flare-up, I just immediately, my first reaction is to start spiraling. It's to be like, oh, I'm in a flare-up, my stomach hurts, my stomach always hurts, everything I eat bothers it, nothing I eat will make it better, I'm always gonna be like this, I've been dealing with this for so many years and it's just gonna continue, and I just spiral and I just keep on going. And for what? That is not gonna help my pain, it's not gonna lessen the discomfort, it's only gonna make the discomfort worse. It's going to bring up my anxiety, which then brings more issues and more pain because it is such a vicious cycle. So instead of doing all that, just cut it, because there's no point in it. It's not gonna benefit you. And trust me, it's easier said than done. I literally just said that I am the first one to do this, and it's my immediate reaction. The second my stomach hurts, it's just first nature, it's just response to start spiraling. But I have really tried to stop that and to just accept where I'm at in that moment, accept the pain, deal with it, literally just accept it, and then write it in a journal. So I've been really fond of food journals. I tell everybody, my clients, my friends, everybody to do food journals. And that's literally just get a journal, any journal that you have, and just write down what you eat, what time you ate, and how you felt immediately after, and then how you felt a couple hours after. Do that with all of your meals, and then at the end of the day, write generally how you're doing, write if, any bathroom, just write any notes that you want to keep track of, how you're feeling, overall mood, and then the next day, how you feel in the morning. Because I don't know about you, but my next morning is a direct reflection of how I did the day before. So then also make a note of that in the same page in your journal and keep that with you. And that's gonna do 2 things. That's gonna help you realize what foods cause you discomfort, but more than that, that's also gonna help you put it into perspective. You might really be flaring up every single day, and that happens. At the beginning of my IBS, I literally I didn't know what to eat. I was in pain all the time. I was inflamed, and I was flaring up every single day. I was in pain every single day. But then at one point, it got better. it got noticeably better. I was no longer waking up in the morning with pain. I was no longer throwing up. I was no longer having diarrhea every single day. And little by little, it got better to the point where it was happening maybe once or twice a week, and then it was happening maybe once every 2 weeks, and now to the point where I'm in maintaining, and then, you know, if it happens, if I get a flare-up, I'm in a flare-up, but then I get to get back out of it. So having the journal helps me flip back and realize, like, okay, it's not really that I am flaring up every day. It might feel like that, but look, I had a whole week where I was fine, or I had a whole month where I was fine, and you might not be at that stage right now, but you will get to that point. So start with a food journal and don't stay focused on the flare up. Look at how far you've come and look at to what is to come. The second mistake you're probably making is that when it's time to eat, you sit down and you just jump right into your meal. So before you eat, the best thing to do is to pray and to take time to collect yourself and to be thankful for your meal and for what you're about to receive. And if you're not a big prayer, then just take 5 deep breaths, and you can still be thankful and have gratitude for what you're about to eat, for the nutrition that you're about to receive. And doing that switches you from the fight and flight mode to the rest and digest. It activates your vagus nerve, which is in control of that, which is also in control of your digestion. So when you switch that, and when you are now calm and you are able to really digest your food, then when what you eat is going to sit much better than if you were to just serve yourself and you're still thinking about the to-do list that you have to do, or you're on your phone on Instagram, or you're just, you know, doing a million things and not really focusing on what you're eating. You're missing a huge part of the digestive process, which is the mental part, which is accepting it in your body and letting it really digest well. And more than mental, it's allowing, you really can't, like, we cannot do 2 things at once. We are not multitaskers. We cannot be simultaneously doing things. So if our brain is on Instagram or on our to-do list or in a million other things other than our meal, then your digestion is not in focus. What's in focus is what you're doing. So switch that focus to your meal. Pray before, be thankful, take your breath, activate your vagus nerve, and be in your meal. If you have company, discuss the meal. You know, how are you enjoying the food? Speaking about what you're eating while you're eating also improves your digestion, and it helps your saliva come out more. It's crazy, but it's true. So focus on what you're eating. Think about the flavors, how good it tastes, and think about it really entering your stomach peacefully and well, and without any symptoms and without any flare-ups, and you will see that it will make a difference. So the third mistake you're probably making with your IBS is you're not chewing your food enough. And this doesn't sound that important, but it is so important. And hear me out. One time, and this might sound gross, but one time I ate my food and it immediately didn't sit well and I threw up. And when I looked at my vomit, it was basically there. It was whole. That's all I'll say. And after that, I realized, well, of course it didn't sit well. I didn't chew it enough. If I was able to see it, like, it needs to be, by the time it hits your stomach, it needs to be mush, so that all that your stomach has to do is take the nutrients and just send it on its way. Your mouth, your chewing, your saliva, that has so much importance to the digestive process that we tend to skip because we're in such a fast-paced life. And like I just mentioned, we're on Instagram, we're doing 1,000 things, so we're just like shoveling food, barely chewing it, swallowing it, and moving on. We need to really, really, really chew our food. After that day, I made a conscious effort to chew my food, and they say you're supposed to chew your food 20 times before you swallow. And since then, I started counting, and it's difficult to hit 20. Like, after a couple of chews, after 5 chews, immediately, like at the beginning, after 5 chews, I wanted to swallow. And that's crazy. I was supposed to do 15 more chews. And at the beginning, it feels a little gross because you're not used to, or at least I wasn't used to, the mush of what the food turns into when you chew it that much. But that's a good thing because, like I said, then you swallow it and it's easier for your stomach to digest. You did the process that you were supposed to do. You did step one, which was let your food get mush and let it be introduced and mixed with the saliva, because our saliva is really the first step in the digestion process. It also then sends a signal to our brain that, hey, we're eating, we're chewing, you got to start the stomach acids, you got to start the digestion. So if we were to just eat and barely chew, we don't give the saliva enough time to send the signal to the brain, and the brain to send the signal to the stomach. So chew your food. It'll just make your life that much easier. The fourth mistake you're probably making with your IBS is you're not reintroducing the food that you've eliminated. So we've all been told with IBS, with food sensitivities, you find your sensitivities, you find your triggers, and you eliminate them. Most of the time, people with IBS have food sensitivities of vegetables and fruits. And most of the fruits and vegetables are cruciferous vegetables, onions and beans even. And those are the best foods. Cruciferous vegetables are great for us. They have vitamins K, they have folate, and they're filled with fiber. Onions and garlic are antiviral and they're antifungal. You could literally make yourself a medication if you're sick with onions and honey. It's an amazing food that we should be eating in our diets, and beans are like the most underrated food ever. They are eaten 4 times more in all the blue zones. And if you don't know, the blue zones are the zones with the most centenarians and the healthy centenarians. So these people are living past 100, like 100 plus, and still walking, thriving, eating, and enjoying their lives. Here in the United States, we are living longer, not longer than the centenarians, not longer than the blue zones. We're living longer. Our life expectancy is getting longer, but so is our ill years. We are now, it's an average of 10 years. Your last 10 years, if you're an American, are with 1, if not 2 diagnoses, you're on pharmaceuticals, and you're in pain. So what quality of life do we have? We might be living longer, but not good lives, not good longer lives. And these people in the blue zones are eating 4 times the amount of beans that we are, and they're living to 100 plus, and they're thriving, among other things that they're doing. It's just to say beans are amazing, and it causes a lot of people with IBS pain and discomfort and bloating. So we're told to eliminate those foods, right? So once we eliminate those foods, we might feel a little bit better. We might have less symptoms and flare-ups. But then the second that we eat those foods again, boom, we flare up. We're in pain. We're in discomfort. And then you're in that cycle again, and you're frustrated because you want to be eating these foods, and you should be eating those foods because, like I said, they're great for you. The problem is, once we eliminate those foods, we're also, all those bacteria that digest those foods and that help break it down, they languish, they're not being fed. So when you reintroduce it, you can't just shock your body. It's also a lot of fiber, just things that you haven't been eating. So you have to do it low and slow, a teaspoon at a time, a tablespoon at a time. If you're reintroducing beans, literally a tablespoon of beans a day. If you want to do onions, just a little bit of onions in your food, sprinkle it on top, cooked. Start off with cooked, and then maybe once you feel better, once the onions are good, then you start with raw onions. But you work your way into it, because these foods are so beneficial to us. And the point and the goal of having IBS is not to find the foods and to avoid it for the rest of our lives and to avoid a flare-up. The goal is to be able to find the foods, eliminate them, and then reintroduce them so that we could be eating everything that we were eating before this diagnosis. And so we could be enjoying our food and enjoying our lives and not feel restricted and limited. And the 5th mistake that you're probably making is that you're not eating probiotic-rich foods. So we've all heard about probiotics. They're the best. Everybody should be drinking probiotics. But we should be eating our probiotics. Food is medicine. Food is the best medicine that there is. If we were to eat fermented rich foods, it's live bacteria. Live bacteria is alive. So when we're drinking a probiotic, the second that they get that bacteria and they capsule it, it starts dying a little bit and a little bit and little by little and little by little until there's no more life in it. And you might still be drinking the pill and you're not getting nearly as much benefits as you were the second it was capsuled, or if you were to have like a pickle that you make, or some pickled onions, or some kimchi, sauerkraut. Get your probiotic rich foods. And this is another thing that I struggle with. It's just, it's an acquired taste. But slowly but surely, just add it to your meals and you'll get used to the taste, and it's so good for you, and it's much better than having the pills. But something is better than nothing. So if you didn't eat anything with probiotics, have your pill. But really try to have your medicine as food first. And that's it. Those are the 5 mistakes you are probably making with IBS that I have made and I still make sometimes. So I hope this helped you. Know that you aren't alone. IBS stings, but you are among many people, and we are all trying to find answers and help and feel better, but you've got this. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I have new videos like this one every Thursday, and have other videos like healthy recipes, what I eat in a day, grocery hauls, meditations, and more every weekday.